You've landed on the right video if you're a grandparent struggling with disrespectful grandchildren and want to transform your relationship into one filled with mutual respect and understanding. This video holds the key to unlocking a newfound harmony within your family, offering proven tactics that will reshape how your grandchildren interact with you. Have you ever felt a pang of hurt when your grandchildren dismiss your advice, talk over you, or simply don't seem to listen? It's a common, yet deeply unsettling experience for many grandparents, especially in today's fast-paced world where attention spans are fleeting and traditional values sometimes seem to fade. You've poured decades of love, wisdom, and effort into your family, and it's natural to expect a certain level of respect in return. But when that respect seems to be missing, it can leave you feeling frustrated, undervalued, and even a little heartbroken. You're not alone in feeling this way, and more importantly, it doesn't have to stay this way. In this video, we're diving deep into 5 powerful, proven tactics that will not only help you regain the respect you deserve, but also build a stronger, more loving, and harmonious bond with your grandchildren. We'll explore practical strategies for setting clear boundaries, communicating effectively, and fostering an environment where listening and appreciation thrive. These aren't just theoretical ideas. They are actionable steps rooted in understanding the unique dynamics of grandparent-grandchild relationships in modern American families. By the end of this video, you'll feel empowered, equipped with the knowledge and confidence to navigate challenging behaviors and cultivate a relationship with your grandchildren that brings you immense joy and pride. First, I kindly ask you to take a moment to show your support. Please give this video a like, subscribe to our channel, and most importantly, share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights not only help us create better content, but also build a supportive community where grandparents can connect and learn from one another. Now, let's unlock the secrets to earning back that precious respect. 1. Cultivate your own fulfilling life. The foundation of respect in the tapestry of family life, especially as we age, it's easy for the threads of our own identity to become interwoven too tightly with our children and grandchildren. We've spent years nurturing, guiding, and often sacrificing, and it's natural to find a deep sense of purpose in their lives. However, a subtle shift can occur when our happiness or sense of worth becomes solely dependent on their attention and approval. This isn't just about emotional well-being, it's about how others, including our grandchildren, perceive our value. When they sense that our world revolves entirely around them, the dynamic can subtly shift, leading to a diminished sense of respect. Think about Helen, a wonderful woman in her late 70s, whose life revolved around her grown children and grandchildren after her husband passed. She was constantly checking in, offering unasked for advice, and expecting them to fill the void her husband had left. While her intentions were pure, her children, busy with their own lives, began to pull away. Their calls became shorter, visits less frequent. Helen felt more alone than ever. But then, she made a profound choice. She decided to cultivate her own fulfilling life. She joined a book club, started traveling with friends she hadn't seen in years, and even volunteered at a local community center. She stopped making her children the sole center of her world. What happened next was truly remarkable. Her children started reaching out more, curious about her new adventures. They admired her independence and respected her newfound zest for life. The truth is, people, including our grandchildren, respect those who have their own purpose, their own interests, and their own sense of fulfillment. If your grandchildren see that you rely on them for entertainment, validation, or meaning, they might start feeling suffocated or worse, see you as someone with no life of their own. This isn't about being selfish, it's about self-preservation and self-respect. When you demonstrate that your happiness doesn't revolve solely around them, you teach them a valuable lesson about personal boundaries and the importance of individual fulfillment. So ask yourself, do your grandchildren see you as someone with a rich, meaningful life, or as someone primarily waiting for their attention? This doesn't mean you should ignore them or pull away. Instead, it means investing in hobbies you enjoy, reconnecting with old friends, pursuing new learning opportunities, or volunteering for a cause you care about. These activities not only enrich your life, but also make you a more interesting and respected individual in their eyes. When they see your independence and passion, they'll be drawn to you not out of obligation, but out of genuine admiration. This powerful shift in perspective will naturally draw them closer, fostering a healthier, more respectful relationship built on mutual admiration, not emotional dependence. 2. Master the art of active listening. Silence speaks volumes. It's a common trap many of us fall into, especially with those we love deeply. When our children or grandchildren behave disrespectfully, our first instinct is often to argue, to remind them of everything we've done, to demand they listen. We believe that if we just explain ourselves more clearly or express our hurt more forcefully, they will finally understand and offer the respect we crave. But let me tell you, this approach rarely works. In fact, it often makes things worse. Think about it. When was the last time you truly convinced someone to respect you by fighting for it? Respect isn't won through words alone. It's earned through presence, through the way we carry ourselves, and crucially, through the way we respond when others try to test our patience. If we meet disrespect with anger or constant correction, we inadvertently confirm their belief that they have power over us or that we are easily agitated. Consider Frank, a retired teacher in his mid-70s who had spent his life confidently leading classrooms. Yet at home, his grown children had started treating him as an afterthought, ignoring his advice and even laughing when he tried to correct them. Frank initially argued back, desperately trying to prove he still deserved their respect. But the more he fought, the worse things became. One day, Frank made a conscious change. Instead of arguing, he started listening, truly listening. He stopped chasing respect with words and instead carried himself with the quiet dignity of a man who already possessed it. He spoke calmly, with wisdom, without the desperate need to win an argument. Slowly, his children began to notice. They saw a man who wasn't desperate for their approval, who didn't need to prove himself, but simply was a figure of strength. This shift is about understanding that sometimes the most powerful response is not a verbal one, but a strategic pause, followed by active listening. When your grandchild is speaking, even if their tone is disrespectful, take a deep breath. Listen to their words without immediately formulating your rebuttal. Let them finish. Then, paraphrase what you heard them say to ensure understanding, even if you don't agree. For example, it sounds like you're feeling frustrated because you think I'm being unfair. This validates their feelings without condoning their behavior. Once they feel heard, then and only then can you calmly and respectfully state your perspective and the boundary that needs to be set. This teaches them that you are a person who listens, who values understanding, and who controls their emotions, qualities that naturally command respect. By holding your ground with grace and demonstrating active listening, you show them what true respect looks like. In time, they will feel it and they will follow your lead. This isn't about giving in, it's about disarming the conflict and creating an opening for genuine communication and a deeper connection. 3. Set clear, consistent boundaries. Respecting yourself. First, one of the most fundamental reasons children and grandchildren may lose respect for their elders is simple. The elders allow it. If we permit them to speak disrespectfully, ignore our opinions, or treat our time and feelings as if they don't matter, they will continue to do so. This isn't necessarily because they are inherently bad people, but because human nature, especially within family dynamics, often operates on learned behaviors. People will treat you the way you allow them to treat you. Setting boundaries does not mean cutting off your grandchildren or creating conflict. On the contrary, it means calmly and firmly deciding what kind of behavior you will and will not accept. More importantly, it means enforcing those boundaries consistently when they are crossed. Consider Robert, a retired businessman in his early 70s who had always been disciplined and confident in his professional life. However, when it came to his adult children and their children, he struggled. They would interrupt him, dismiss his concerns, and even criticize his life choices. Initially, Robert tolerated it, telling himself it wasn't worth the fight. But over time, he realized that every time he stayed silent, he was inadvertently teaching them that their disrespectful behavior was acceptable. So one day, Robert changed his approach. When his grandson interrupted him, he calmly said, "I will continue speaking when you are ready to listen." When his granddaughter dismissed his opinion, he simply replied, "You don't have to agree with me, but I expect you to respect my perspective." When they continued to push his limits, he made it clear that if they couldn't treat him with basic respect, he wouldn't be spending time with them. What happened next was a gradual but powerful shift. At first, there was resistance and perhaps even a little surprise. But over time, they realized their grandfather wasn't backing down. They saw that he valued himself enough to demand respect, not just passively hope for it. And because of that, they started giving it to him. For grandparents, this means, be clear. State your boundaries simply and directly. Please don't interrupt me when I'm speaking. I'm not available for phone calls after 8 p.m. Be consistent. This is the most crucial part. If you set a boundary once and then allow it to be crossed, it sends a mixed message. Consistency teaches them that your boundaries are firm. Follow through. If a boundary is crossed, calmly and without anger, follow through on the stated consequence. This isn't punishment. It's teaching responsibility for their actions. Focus on behavior, not character. Frame your boundaries around the specific behavior you won't accept, rather than making it a judgment about their character. When you don't set boundaries, your grandchildren won't set them for you. When you don't stand up for yourself, no one else will. This isn't about being harsh. It's about self-respect, which is the cornerstone of earning respect from others. By setting and enforcing clear boundaries, you model respectful behavior and teach your grandchildren that your dignity is non-negotiable. 4. Limit unappreciated giving. Generosity with discernment. There's a natural inclination for grandparents to be generous. We love to give our time, our energy, our wisdom, and often our financial support. It brings us joy to see our grandchildren happy and to know we're contributing to their lives. However, one of the quickest ways to inadvertently lose respect is to continuously give to people who don't genuinely appreciate it. As parents and grandparents, we often fall into this trap without realizing it. We give our time, our energy, our support, even when it's not acknowledged, even when it's taken for granted, even when we're met with entitlement rather than gratitude. The painful truth is, when you consistently give to someone who doesn't appreciate your efforts, you don't build love or respect. You build an expectation. They stop seeing your kindness as something valuable, a gift, and begin to view it as something they are inherently entitled to. And the moment you stop giving, they don't feel grateful for what they received. They feel inconvenienced or even angry that their expectation isn't being met. Consider George, a loving father and grandfather who was always incredibly generous with his children and their families. He helped them financially whenever they needed it, dropped everything to assist them with tasks, and often rearranged his own life to accommodate their needs. But instead of gratitude, he was often met with complaints or expectations for more. The worst part was that when he eventually needed their help, they were often too busy. One day, George decided to change his approach. He stopped overextending himself. He stopped offering help before it was even asked. Most importantly, he started saying no when he genuinely needed to. At first, his children were frustrated. They didn't understand why he wasn't bending over backward for them anymore. But over time, something shifted profoundly. They began to value his time and efforts because they suddenly realized that his generosity wasn't unlimited. It was a gift, not a guarantee. This doesn't mean you should stop being kind or helpful. It means being discerning with your generosity. It means offer. Don't just give. Instead of automatically doing something, offer your help and see if it's genuinely needed and appreciated. Asterisk set expectations. If you do offer help, make sure the terms are clear and that your effort is acknowledged. Asterisk prioritize your own needs. It's okay to say no if giving your time or resources will drain you or make you resentful. Asterisk teach gratitude. Encourage your grandchildren to express thanks, not just for material things, but for time and effort. When you teach people that your generosity is conditional on respect and appreciation, they will begin to treat it that way. By stepping back from unappreciated giving, you reestablish your value and teach your grandchildren the true meaning of gratitude. This shift not only protects your resources, but also fosters a more respectful and heartfelt exchange within the family. 5. Embrace the power of storytelling and selective wisdom, sharing the bridge to connection. As grandparents, we carry a rich tapestry of experiences, lessons, and stories from a lifetime of living. This accumulated wisdom is an invaluable gift, one that our grandchildren could greatly benefit from. However, a common challenge arises when our attempts to share this wisdom are met with glazed eyes, dismissive nods, or even outright impatience. This isn't always a sign of disrespect, but often a mismatch in communication styles or an overwhelming feeling of being lectured. The brutal truth is, simply offering unsolicited advice can sometimes push grandchildren away, making them feel misunderstood rather than guided. The key to unlocking their receptiveness lies in embracing the power of storytelling and understanding when and how to share your wisdom selectively. Grandchildren, especially in America, are often more receptive to narratives that engage their imagination and allow them to draw their own conclusions rather than direct instruction. Think about Paul, a wise 79-year-old grandfather who noticed his grandchildren tuning out when he tried to give direct advice. He realized that while his peers often struggled with memory, he was still mentally sharp, able to recall vivid details from conversations and solve complex puzzles. He also understood that his own daily habits, reading, staying socially engaged, and challenging his brain, were keeping his mind strong. Paul decided to leverage this mental sharpness and his lifetime of experiences in a new way. Instead of saying, "You should do X," he began sharing stories from his past that illustrated the principles he wanted to convey. For example, if he wanted to teach patience, he wouldn't just say, "Be patient." Instead, he might recount a humorous story about a time he rushed something as a young man and the unexpected, often comical, consequences that followed. He'd let the story unfold, allowing his grandchildren to connect the dots and draw their own conclusions about the value of patience. Or, if he wanted to encourage hard work, he might share anecdotes about challenges he faced in his career and how persistence ultimately led to success, focusing on the human element and the emotional journey rather than just the outcome. He didn't always wait for them to ask. Sometimes he'd simply begin with, "Something interesting happened to me when I was about your age." This approach works for several reasons. Asterisk engagement over lecture. Stories are inherently more engaging than direct advice. They create a mental picture, spark curiosity, and make the listener an active participant in the learning process. Asterisk relatability. By sharing personal experiences, you become more human and relatable. Your grandchildren see you not just as an authority figure, but as someone who has navigated life's complexities and emerged with valuable insights. Asterisk autonomy. Storytelling allows grandchildren the autonomy to derive their own lessons. This makes the wisdom feel earned and personally relevant rather than imposed. Asterisk building emotional connection. Sharing personal stories, especially those with a touch of vulnerability or humor, builds a deeper emotional connection. It opens a window into your past, helping them understand the journey that shaped you. This isn't about fabricating tales. It's about framing your authentic experiences in a way that resonates with a younger generation. It's also crucial to practice selective wisdom sharing. Not every thought needs to be expressed, and not every moment is a teaching moment. Sometimes, simply being present, listening actively, as discussed earlier, and offering a warm smile is the most powerful communication of all. By embracing storytelling, you transform yourself from a dispenser of rules into a living library of wisdom. You create a bridge for connection, fostering a relationship where your grandchildren genuinely seek out your presence and treasure your insights, not because they have to, but because they are genuinely interested in the rich tapestry of your life. And in doing so, you effortlessly command the respect that comes from a life well lived and wisely shared. Final thoughts. Reclaiming your place with grace and wisdom, we've journeyed through 5 powerful tactics designed to help you regain respect from your grandchildren and strengthen your family bonds. From cultivating your own fulfilling life and mastering active listening to setting clear boundaries, limiting unappreciated giving, and embracing the power of storytelling. Each strategy offers a unique pathway to a more harmonious and respectful relationship. You're not alone in facing these challenges. Many American grandparents navigate similar shifts in family dynamics as generations evolve. But the good news is, you have the power to shape these interactions and nurture connections that bring you profound joy and fulfillment. Remember, this isn't about demanding respect through authority, but about inspiring it through your actions, your presence, and your wisdom. Your life experiences, your resilience, and your enduring love are your greatest assets. By living a full and meaningful life, by truly listening, by setting clear expectations with grace, by giving with discernment, and by sharing your stories in engaging ways, you not only reclaim your rightful place as a respected elder, but also enrich the lives of your grandchildren in ways that will last for generations. It's a journey of self-respect that naturally earns the respect of others. Take a moment to reflect. Which of these tactics resonates most with you? Which one small step can you take today to begin this transformation? Perhaps it's signing up for that class you've always wanted to take, or simply pausing to truly listen to your grandchild's words before responding. Maybe it's choosing to share a personal anecdote instead of direct advice, or calmly setting a boundary you've hesitated to establish. The path to a more respectful and loving relationship begins with intention and consistent effort. Your family and your heart will thank you for it. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.